You're scrolling late at night. Someone in your feed just posted from a beach club in Miami. Champagne on ice, a Range Rover pulling up to the valet, a watch glinting under the flash. That's the picture you've been sold as wealth. It isn't real wealth. Real wealth isn't a weekend in Miami. It's what happens on a plain Tuesday nobody bothers to film. The quiet transfer. The choice made before exhaustion talks you out of it. The people who genuinely have money are often driving a decade-old sedan with a dashboard light they haven't fixed yet. Your phone buzzes again. You leave it alone. Beside it sits a notebook from weeks back, still closed. You pick it up to plan the week ahead, and it doesn't open to a fresh page. The entry from 3 weeks ago is still sitting there, half written. The ink smudged where a mug left a ring of condensation. You skip past it without reading. The apartment has that particular hush of a Sunday evening, right before Monday shows up pretending to be unexpected. Outside the window, your old sedan waits under the street lamp, its check engine light glowing faintly through the glass like it's been counting down all week for your attention. You've meant to get it looked at. You write Monday across the top of a clean page, then Tuesday beneath it. This isn't a to-do list, it's closer to defusing a bomb before it goes off. You're deciding now, while everything is calm, what you'll eat, when you'll leave for work, whether Thursday is finally the day you call the mechanic. None of it looks like money changing hands. It feels like scheduling. That's the secret nobody says out loud. The dollars are hidden inside decisions you haven't made yet. You think about Marisol, a couple doors down, works steady hours as a dental hygienist, solid paycheck. She doesn't do any of this. She wakes up Monday and figures out Monday what she's eating, whether she's hitting the gym, whether tonight calls for takeout. 9 times out of 10, indecision wins. Last week it cost her $16 on delivery for a bowl she could have thrown together at home for under $4, ordered at nearly 10 at night, because she hadn't planned dinner and had nothing left in her after a long shift. You've caught the app open on her screen enough times to know it was never really about the food. It's about not deciding when deciding was still free. You don't bring it up with her, you just notice it, the way you notice things in other people that used to describe you too. 2 years back, that Tuesday was yours. You still remember the overdraft alert. $30-some gone for being a few bucks short on a day you hadn't even looked at. You didn't feel careless that week. You just hadn't decided anything, and undecided money has a way of spending itself. The pen keeps moving. Wednesday? Bring lunch. Fill the tank before it drops below half, not after. Friday? Call about the car. You're not fixing anything tonight, You're making sure the version of you who shows up Monday isn't stuck figuring it out in a parking lot with 15 minutes to spare. There's a version of tonight where none of this happens, where the notebook stays shut, where the old page stays half filled, and you just let the week happen to you. That version wears down by Wednesday in a very specific way, not from the job itself, but from redeciding the same 3 things every single day like it's brand new each time. You know that particular exhaustion. You're done choosing it. You close the notebook a little after 8. Nothing dramatic occurred. No balance shifted, no transfer went through. You simply took every decision that would have cost you a rushed dinner order on a Tuesday and made it instead on a quiet Sunday, when it cost nothing and belonged only to you. The dashboard light is still glowing outside. You'll handle it Thursday, as planned. For now, your phone goes on the charger, and sometime between tonight and midnight Thursday, without you even awake to see it, another gear is about to start turning on its own. Your paycheck, moving itself. Your alarm sounds at 6:15, and before you're even upright, your phone buzzes twice on the nightstand. 2 alerts stacked together. You already know what they'll say, so you leave them for now. By the time you're in the shower, it's already been handled. At midnight, while you were asleep, your paycheck landed and started splitting itself apart without asking you. $200 slid into a high-yield savings account earning north of 4%, a rate that would have sounded invented 2 years ago. Another $150 dropped into your Roth IRA, the account you opened at 24 with $50 and a lot of second-guessing. You're still under this year's income cap, so you can contribute the full $7,500 if you're under 50, and every dollar that lands there this morning is one your future self in December won't be scrambling to find. None of it required a decision this morning. That's exactly the point. You built the system once at this same kitchen table months back, and now it simply runs. Quiet, mechanical, unbothered by how you happen to feel on any given Thursday. Marcus, who works a floor above you, handles it the opposite way. Waits until month's end to see what's left. He mentioned it over coffee last week, half joking, as if it were a personality quirk instead of a strategy. He'd just signed a lease on a new SUV, 700 and change a month for 3 years, gap coverage bundled in, already talking about the extended warranty before the new car smell faded. He asked which bank you use for your savings setup. You told him. He nodded, said he'd check it out. He's said that since spring. You're not judging the car, you're noticing something different. The leftover money never actually shows up. There's always some reason it vanishes first. A birthday dinner, a tire that gave out, a night that turned into a bigger bar tab than planned. Leftover is a fantasy reserved for people who've never automated anything, and Marcus, without meaning to, reconfirms that every month. You step out of the shower and finally check your phone. Both transfers are already sitting there, done, unremarkable. Nothing to screenshot, no graph spiking upward, just $350 that used to require a decision and no longer does. You used to dread payday a little, the quiet dread of knowing the money would slip away before you'd even enjoyed earning it. That feeling has mostly faded. What replaced it isn't excitement, it's something closer to relief. The plain, unglamorous relief of not having to trust yourself with a choice you already made once and never have to remake. You get dressed. Whatever's left in checking, the portion that didn't move on its own, waits for gas, bills, whatever the week actually needs. It's a smaller number than it used to be, but an honest one. Every dollar sitting there has already been assigned a job somewhere else first. Grabbing your keys on the way out, you glance down at your boots, the same pair since January, still holding their shape, and think, not for the first time, that you'll need a replacement eventually. Just not today. Saturday afternoon finds you in the boot aisle of an outdoor gear shop, comparing your worn pair against a fresh one, checking the stitching. You bought the original back in January for around $325, and 6 months of wearing them daily has turned the leather a deep amber that only comes from actually living in something. The soles are finally wearing thin, which is why you're back. Not because they broke, but because they earned their retirement. You almost grab a cheaper look-alike off a nearby rack, glued instead of stitched, the kind that photographs fine and falls apart before spring. You pick it up, turn it over, set it back down. You've run this math before, even without writing it out. The cheap pair, replaced twice a year, ends up costing more over 3 years than the sturdier one that just keeps going. Nobody spells that out at the register. You just feel it, weighing one boot against the other. You think of Priya from the office, who posted a photo Thursday holding a designer tote, the kind that runs over $2,000, outside the restaurant from your team's quarterly dinner. She'd been saving for months, she said. You don't think less of her for wanting it. You just noticed, watching her hold it up for the camera, that the old pull wasn't there for you anymore. 2 years back, you'd have gone home and opened your banking app just to torment yourself over what you couldn't afford. This time, you didn't open it at all. It's not that nice things don't appeal to you. It's that you're asking a different question now. Not, can I afford this, but what does this actually give me? The boots give you months of dry feet and a fit shaped exactly to your foot. You're honest with yourself about what the bag would give you. One good photo, a compliment or two, a feeling that fades by the following Tuesday. Not nothing, but not worth that price tag either. You pay for the new boots, same price as before, tax included. The cashier, a guy about your age, comments on how well the old pair held up, like he genuinely means it. You tell him they're headed to the donation bin, still wearable, just not yours anymore. He nods like that lands with him too. Walking back to your car, boots swinging in the bag, you realize none of this ever gets said out loud anywhere. Nobody posts a photo of boots that simply lasted. There's no caption for, I skipped the thing that would have made me feel behind by March. It's a quiet decision, repeated endlessly, that never announces itself to anyone but you. You toss the bag in the passenger seat and check your phone before pulling out. A calendar reminder pops up for Monday. Your annual review, 10 a.m., HR conference room. You've been guessing at the number for weeks. Whatever it ends up being, you're already deciding right there in the parking lot what you'll do with it before it even lands. Monday, 10 sharp, the HR conference room smells faintly of burnt coffee. The air conditioning cranked 2 degrees too cold, as always. Your manager slides a printout across the table before she's even finished her sentence. You spot the number before she says it out loud. $200 extra a month, starting next pay period. Not life-altering, not meant to feel like much. Just a modest, fair bump for a solid year. Still, you feel something small and warm in your chest for a second before catching yourself. Walking back to your desk, you already know exactly what you're doing with it. You decided that Saturday, in a parking lot, before the number even existed. Back at your desk, you open your laptop instead of your phone because your phone is where temptation lives. Marcus's social feed is still open in a browser tab from lunch. A photo from the dealership last week, captioned "Treat yourself." The finance manager tagged. You close the tab without comment and pull up your banking app instead. $200. You split it before it can turn into anything else. 40 goes towards something real, a standing Sunday morning ritual at your favorite coffee shop. The kind of small joy that doesn't need defending. The remaining 160 goes straight into the Roth, stacked on top of what's already moving there automatically. You don't overthink the split. You already know that any amount without an assigned purpose on day 1 tends to dissolve into a dozen tiny purchases by day 30. You think about what this same raise would have meant 2 years ago. You'd have been browsing listings for a bigger apartment that same night, telling yourself you'd earned the extra room. Instead, you're renewing the lease on your current 1-bedroom, same rent as last year, since the landlord hasn't raised it and you haven't gone looking for reasons to upgrade your life to match a number on paper. A coworker mentions, almost in passing, that she just put in an offer on a house in a nearby suburb. Nothing extravagant, she says, but the school district is strong. You ask, and she tells you lakefront listings out that way run well into the millions. Nowhere near what she's actually buying, but she'd driven past one last weekend and couldn't stop thinking about it. You laugh along with her. You don't feel behind. You just notice that everyone seems to be pricing their own life against something they glimpsed once, briefly, that had nothing to do with them. By the end of the day, the raise has already been allocated. Not spent on any one thing, but assigned in under 10 minutes, a decision that will quietly repeat itself every month going forward without you having to remake it. No one in the office knows any of this happened. There's no form for it, no line item, nobody to report it to. It happens the same way the automation happens, the same way Sunday night happens, one unwitnessed decision at a time. Driving home, the check engine light catches your eye again. You got the oil changed last week like you planned, but the light's still on. Something electrical this time, the mechanic guessed. Nothing urgent. You'll deal with it. For now, you're thinking about the balance building in your Roth and how it's never come from just one source and how maybe it never needed to. Wednesday night, the gym is nearly empty. Just you, a few regulars, and the guy on the next treadmill over with his headphones hanging around his neck because he wants to talk. His name's Jordan, works in sales downtown, and lately every conversation turns into the same one. Some stock he found. Some trade about to break big. This time it's a biotech ticker he stumbled on at 1 a.m. Last month it was a meme stock making its second or third comeback lap. He was up over $1,000 on a Tuesday. By Friday, he'd lost nearly double that, and he told you about it like it was just weather. Something that happens to a person. You nod along, not saying much. You're thinking instead about an email still sitting in your inbox from an editor at a small regional magazine who found your name through a mutual contact, asking if you take on freelance copy editing. You said yes without fully deciding to. One piece, a couple $100 due in 2 weeks. It's not a plan, not even really a second job. It's just a second stream feeding the same account. Something that keeps existing whether your main job has a great year or a rough one. You picture what Jordan's account looks like next to yours. His moves constantly. Yours mostly doesn't, and that used to bother you. Watching balances triple in a month on finance forums while your retirement account crept up 0.5% at a time. This year, the amount landing in that account every pay period, taken out before you ever see it, keeps going into the same plain index fund it sat in for 2 years. No flashy ticker to brag about, no single stock you could point to as the one that made it happen. Just a broad basket of major companies doing what it's done for a century, mostly climbing, given enough time. Jordan asks if you've got anything good going right now. You tell him the truth. Index fund, a little freelance work on the side, nothing thrilling. He looks almost sorry for you, like you're missing out on something. You used to feel that same secondhand embarrassment watching other people's screenshots, wondering if boring was just another word for falling behind. You don't feel that anymore. Somewhere in the past year, it flipped. Boring stopped feeling like a deficiency and started feeling like the plan working exactly as designed. Jordan's portfolio is a roller coaster with a 2-week memory. Yours is a plain spreadsheet that barely shifts month to month and never needs explaining to anyone, least of all yourself. You finish your set, towel off, check your phone in the parking lot. The editor's already replied with a new assignment, a bit more money this time. You say yes again, faster than the first time. It won't replace your job. It was never supposed to. It's just one more thread pulling in the same direction as the automation and the split raise, all working together without needing your permission every time. Driving home past the lit-up skyline, you think about how much higher your savings balance sits now than it ever has. High enough that a word you haven't let yourself think seriously in a while starts sounding less like fantasy and more like a phone call you could actually make on an ordinary afternoon. The house sits on a quiet street in an older part of town, a 3-bedroom brick ranch from the 60s, carport instead of a garage, a huge old tree taking up half the backyard. Listed just under $300,000. You've walked through it twice and both times found yourself lingering too long in the kitchen, running a hand along a countertop that isn't yours yet, doing math in your head you'd already worked out on paper the night before. Your agent, an experienced, no-nonsense woman named Delphine, runs through the numbers again at the kitchen table that comes with the house. A 30-year fixed rate locked in, 20% down, pulled from the account that's been quietly filling itself for years, without much thought on your part. The monthly payment makes your stomach drop slightly when spoken aloud, even though you already knew the figure cold. That night you sleep poorly, running the payment against your paycheck, against the automation, against every version of a bad month you can imagine. The car finally giving out for good. A slow stretch at the magazine, something breaking in a house that's now yours to fix instead of a landlord's problem. Around 2 in the morning, you consider backing out. It would be easy. No one would blame you. Renting is calmer, and calm has its own value you've never let yourself admit. You sign anyway. 3 weeks later, on an unremarkable Tuesday, in an office under fluorescent lights with a stack of paperwork taller than expected, Delphine hands over the keys like it's nothing. Because to her, after hundreds of closings, it isn't. To you, it's the largest number you've ever attached your name to. 2 months in, the market dips. Nothing catastrophic, just one of those stretches where every finance account you follow starts flashing the same red arrows and warnings. Your retirement balance drops enough that you notice it before meaning to, opening the app out of habit and immediately regretting it. Jordan sends a screenshot of his own account. Down worse than yours, 3 exclamation points. No explanation needed. You don't sell anything, you don't even really consider it. The thought crosses your mind for a few seconds and disappears. Instead, you think of Delphine mentioning, almost offhand, that some of her clients bought their first rental properties during a stretch just like this one, years back, picking up places nobody else wanted while everyone around them panicked. You're not doing anything that bold, you're simply not doing anything at all, which turns out to be its own kind of decision, the hardest one yet. Made by repeating the choice to do nothing until doing nothing becomes the entire strategy. A month later, the numbers start climbing back, the way they usually do, the way they have for a century before this one. You stop checking obsessively. You check on Sundays now, same time as the notebook, same table, and most weeks, there's not much to report. The house creaks in ways the apartment never did. The old tree drops leaves across the whole yard every few days, and now it's your job to deal with it, which turns out to be oddly satisfying. You're still driving the same old sedan. The check engine light eventually went off on its own, which either means it fixed itself or something else entirely. And either way, you haven't gotten around to finding out. Sitting on the back steps one evening, the keys to your own front door still slightly unfamiliar in your pocket, you realize you haven't thought about anyone else's car or watch or vacation photos in longer than you can remember. Nobody's watching, and that's exactly the point. You stay out there a while longer. No one drives by to see the house, the keys, the leaves you'll rake tomorrow. Nobody notices the old sedan still parked under the carport. That's the part nobody tells you about getting here, how quiet it actually is. There's no finish line, no photo, no single number that suddenly makes it feel real. Just a Sunday notebook, a transfer you never had to think about, a raise divided up before you could spend it. Small, unwitnessed, repeated until they stopped being decisions at all. They just became you. Tomorrow the dashboard light might flicker back on. The market might dip again. You'll still open the notebook. You'll still hold steady. Somewhere tonight, someone's parked outside a restaurant, engine running, waiting to be seen. You're honestly not sure anymore which one of you has more.